Being emotionally invested in the game shows the power of great game design. It creates memories that people will talk about later. Players are invested into what's happening in the game, and they're always attentive into what's happening. One game that's doing this for us right now is Rising Sun by CMON. It's finally here! I'm playing Rising Sun. I'm so happy. This game is so good at invoking an emotional response from players, through its artwork, through its gameplay, mostly though through its player interaction. That's what brings that response, and I'll talk about that a lot, that phrase emotional response. That's what this game does so well. You know a game is great when someone leaves the table angry, but they want to play it again? Man, I love when that happens. They just get so mad, they huff out of the room, but later they're like, hey, when are we going to play Rising Sun again? Absolutely love it. I'm Jacob Russell, and this is the Gamer Curator. Rising Sun was designed by Eric Lang, with the art by Adrian Smith, and the production done by CMON. This trifecta has returned in the tradition of Blood Rage to create a wonderful experience. There's this great foundation of gameplay, supported by wonderful artwork that blends so well together to create another amazing, engaging experience. This game has a lot going on at the same time. Wonderful art, complex art, but what's amazing is that it does not get in the way. It is not distracting from the gameplay, and that's a hard thing to do. The artwork is very dark and evocative, but it's still inviting, and that's another hard balance to make. But one thing I want to make clear is that even though there's all this going on, this beautiful artwork, it's not distracting. It actually supports the gameplay. The board may seem busy at first, but once you understand what's going on, it helps you with the flow of the game. You have the track on the top that's showing the play turns and what order things need to happen. You have the different sections of the board that help you understand what's going on, and all the art on both the board and the components support this. I cannot speak highly enough of this art. I thought Blood Rage was amazing. This is a step up from that. Now, I know I've said it a lot already, but everything in this game really does support this idea of having an emotional response to the game. One thing that does this is the idea of alliances. Now, alliances are only between two people in this game, so if you're playing around with an odd number of people, someone's going to be left out, and that is rough. That is hard. Now, sometimes that is good for a specific strategy, but overall, you want those alliances to give you the positive benefits you get from those. So sometimes you're trying to give people money to help convince them to be in your alliance and show them the benefit, and that is one reason that you have this emotional response to it, is you're trying to get in those alliances. One other thing is placing these monsters onto the board. You have this tactile action of choosing a card that brings a monster into your clan, and you're able to place that monster on the board and say, boom, this is mine. And people react and they're like, holy cow, I was not expecting that, and it's great, and these great figures on the board help that. There is this response of these figures. I know sometimes people say it's just bling, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually part of the gameplay. You get this response of having these awesome figures on the board. So good, so beautiful, so supportive of this idea of having an emotional response. Fighting is not happening all over the map all the time. There's actually only a few provinces on the map that fights are going to even happen. And what's interesting about this is that points are given according to the variety of province tokens that you have, and you only get those by winning a combat in that province. So each round you put these markers on the board that show where fights are going to happen, and so you see everyone trying to frantically get to the ones they're wanting to be. They finagle their way in there, and it creates this tension because multiple people will want that province, and so you have this. It's not forced combat in a specific region, but it's heavily encouraged to try and get those points. And I think that's such a great way to cause tension, to once again create that emotional response. In classic Eric Lang style, every faction power seems completely overpowered. And I love when this happens. This happened in Blood Rage, as you got cards to personalize your faction. It happens in Chaos in the Old World with the same thing as you're upgrading your faction there as well. But I think it's kind of perfected here in Rising Sun. You see your faction and you're like, man, this is strong. And then you see someone else's faction, you're like, wait, they're way overpowered. But they're thinking the exact same thing. They're like, man, mine's strong. Man, but his way overpowered. I think that's such a fun idea to have these strong faction powers that at first may seem completely imbalanced, but through gameplay, through multiple plays, you see like, oh no, there was totally thought put into this, and there's definitely balance between these awesomely strong powers. It creates, once again, let's say it together, an emotional response, and it's such a great way to do that. One great way to cause tension in this game is the fighting system. You're trying to outbid, outsmart your opponents, trying to think what they're going to do through this clever system where you're placing coins on the actions you want to take. It's not just a bunch of dudes here, a bunch of dudes here, and you roll dice. No, it's far more interesting than that because you're trying to outsmart your opponents. You're trying to think what they're going to do if they care enough to bid a certain amount of money, and you know how much money they have to start off with, and they know how much you have, and you're trying to outsmart each other. And I'm terrible at that. I never outsmart anyone because I'm not that bright. It's okay. But I love that idea of trying to see what's going to happen, and you both have the reveal and you're like, oh, I did the wrong thing. Or you're like, yes, I knew you were going to do that. I knew that you were going to choose that action. And it's just so great to have that, once again, emotional response. Okay, I'm not going to say that anymore. I may say it a couple more times. This is another game where I love the follow mechanism happening, where a player will choose an action and everyone in the table does that same action with the active player doing it last. And that is awesome. I love that they're able to see what happens and they're able to react. So it kind of gives them that upper hand in choosing that. It keeps everyone engaged. Everyone's hoping that their action comes up or that they can be the active player to choose a specific action. I love how it just keeps people involved and engaged during the entire game. What a wonderful successor to Blood Rage this game is. It's deserving of all the praise that it's getting, and it deserves a lot of it. It's so fun seeing my friends standing up over the map, looking down, being invested, being engaged emotionally with the game. I cannot recommend this game enough. Rising Sun by CMON. I'm Jacob Russell, and this is the Gamer Curator. Check it out. I got lights. Not too shabby. Getting better, sort of. Thank you so much for watching. I'm at the Gamer Curator on social media. Follow me if you want. We can have a chat. It would be beautiful. Thank you so much.